I'll start by acknowledging the presence of the head of departments, the managers, the senior staffs, the judges, my fellow employees, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. My name is Joseph Malangwa. I am the day shift continuous supervisor under smelter department, converter section. I started working here at Chambishi Copper Smelter Limited in 2014. This is now my 9th year. When I started working, I joined the company in the capacity of a workman. And we were, funny enough, we were nicknamed by our Zambian colleagues as the broom operators, because most of our jobs were housekeeping. So they gave us that name because of the massive sweeping and handling of the brooms. My first months were very challenging and very difficult because I was given a wrong impression. Number one, I was given a wrong impression about the Chinese. They said all the Chinese knows Kung Fu, so they beat. And another one, it is their working culture. They told me that the Chinese, they don't rest. So I was like, am I going to manage? But through all that, with time, I started adapting. There were certain things that seemed to be offensive. Things that I thought were very offensive. Like in our Zambian culture, when somebody is shouting at you, it really means the person is mad at you. Actually, even if the tone of voice is high, it means something. But with the Chinese, it is not like that always. With them, when they raise a voice at you, they are trying to prove a point or to make an emphasis. So I later realized that it was just a cultural misunderstanding, a cultural difference, and there was a misinterpretation of situations. One of the things that I want to talk, or something that I've learned about the Chinese, is their hard work. The Chinese are the most hardworking, committed, and disciplined people. And fact is fact when we say they are hardworking. When we look at their economy, it is growing greatly because of hard working. And as Zambian, we are coping and learning. And one thing that I want to share is, there is one common feature in both the Zambian and the Chinese culture which we share, and that is respect. The respect for our elders and the authority. When I say this, I've observed and I've seen occasionally how the Chinese bosses address their seniors. I've heard in some cases where they call them shifu, which means master. Even us, we respect our elders. Anybody who's older than you, we call them shikulu. And I remember there was a time we had Mr. Zhang, a Chinese national who was an elderly man. We used to address him as shikulu. And through that, we would respond because we had already explained what shikulu means. Equally, even with the Chinese, we've got our Zambian elder at our workshop. They call him shikulu, and they treat him accordingly. Through all this, I know there are some challenges like communication. We can agree it is not easy to communicate when there is language barrier. But there's one thing that worked for me. The thing that worked for me is to adapt to their culture, their working culture, and to get familiarized with the equipment. We all understand here, in every particular section, there is one thing that we are doing which is common. In our section, we convert mud into blister copper. So anytime they are speaking of that, it becomes a common language. It becomes a common language. But with time, I started learning some Chinese words. Words like shushi. Shushi means rest. Another one, shabana, which means knocking off. And shabana is my favorite one. Because every time they tell me, Joseph, today, Shabana, Shabana, I know no overtime. I'm going home. And my Zambian colleagues, they ask me how have I managed to relate well with the Chinese bosses. Number one is basically willingness to learn and understand their working culture. Through this, we are interacting. Through this, we are making an environment to be a very safe and productive environment. Even with the Chinese, like Mr. Chen and Mr. Zhou, they've also started learning some Bemba. So we are able to communicate, which was very challenging. Like, for example, Mr. Chen would call me, Joseph, converter number 1, Fangula. To those who doesn't understand Fangula, Fangula means 10. And I will respond in the Zambian language to say, Pamulu or Panshi. Pamulu means up, Panshi means bottom. Through that, we are able to communicate. I love the Chinese people. They are hardworking people. And in my conclusion, I would just want to appreciate this experience and this exposure that I've encountered in this company. And to my Zambian colleagues, when a Chinese is raising a voice at you, it is not always that they are mad at you. They are trying to push you to your full potential of performance. And if you want to learn a skill, get close to a Chinese. I came as a workman, but now I'm a supervisor. So in all this, I want to say thank you.
All right, thank you for a wonderful presentation. So after the